千里之行，始于足下。A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Derek Lin, where we take a deep dive into the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. As always, I want to extend my welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. I would like to invite you to center your thoughts and direct your attention to this moment in time, to the here and now, to be fully present and mindfully aware as we are ready ourselves for this sacred process in the Tao with one another. So now, I think we're ready to delve into 圣人. What does Lao Tzu mean when he talked about 圣人? Here's the slide for that. Who are the sages as described by Lao Tzu? So Lao Tzu describes the 圣人 in many different ways. And I've singled out 3 ways that are not the only ways, but representative. Number 1, 圣人 is an enlightened Tao cultivator chosen by the people to lead. The 圣人 is someone that people trust and someone who has cultivated the Tao. People believe that this person will be much less likely to be corrupted by power. And we know power has an absolutely insidious corrupting effect. So the example to represent this comes from Tao Te Ching Chapter 7, where it says, therefore the sages place themselves last, but end up in front. That just means that the sages basically put themselves out to be of service to everybody. And people perceive this in the course of time. They decide that, well, the best person to lead us, if the person who has been of service to us all this time. So they push the sage to take a position in the front to lead, whereas the sage preferred to be behind to serve. Second, a sage is an advisor who emphasizes practical sustenance over physical pleasure. This could be advisor to the king or emperor. It could also be an advisor to you and me. When we're reading and studying the Tao, we're basically enlisting Lao Tzu as our personal advisor. And Lao Tzu himself would emphasize the practical, would emphasize that which will sustain us rather than the desires that can give us pleasure. Because Lao Tzu also had the wisdom to realize that the pleasures can be transient and they can numb our senses if we indulge in them too much. So an example for this comes from Tao Te Ching Chapter 12. It says, therefore, the sages care for the stomach and not the eyes. That is why they discard the other and take this. Now, although this example comes from Chapter 12, it is something that begins in this chapter and gets further emphasized in the next one, Chapter 3. And this is because the more in tune with sagacity people become, the more they look to the basics of life. You want to mind the bare necessities of life and guard against the excess in physical sensations that can make you jaded. And number three, another important characteristic of the sages. Who is the sage? Well, the sage is a mentor who uses the Tao to set an example for people to follow. Now, the advisor can just tell you the advice, but it's even more powerful if the advisor is a mentor who will show by example. This we can see in chapter 22 of the Tao Te Ching. It says, therefore, sages hold to the one as an example for the world. So my suggestion to everyone is to look for mentors in your life whose examples inspire you. And I would also suggest that you should endeavor to set a good example in yourself for others to follow. And quite naturally, when you have attained a higher level of refinement in the Tao, you will come across situations people will look to you for guidance, for leadership, etc. So in number one, they may look to you to lead. In number two, they may look to you for advice. In number three, they may want you to mentor them. When that is the case, you have gotten yet another step closer to sagehood, or sagacity, the wisdom of the sage. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.